My guest at this time can now be seen every Wednesday night as part of MLW Fusion. It's Hammerstone. Hammerstone, welcome back to the Wrestling Inc. Daily.
Hey, I'm happy to be back. Thanks for having me.
Oh, man, it sounds nice. MLW is coming back. What does it feel like for you right now, Hammerstone, to know that the restart is happening right now and MLW is getting back to business?
I mean, I can't believe the break we've had. I think it was just, week after week, you never knew. Things just have been so uncertain, and it just kept getting pushed off. And, to finally have a solid concrete, we're getting back to it. We have a date. We're going to get to business. It's a really, really good feeling.
How has it been for you having to be home right now, passing the time as you've watched other wrestlers and wrestling promotions kind of get up and running and start to flex those muscles as you are so good at doing?
I mean, it was frustrating. I think the beginning stages of things were the most frustrating. Back in March, because back in March we thought we were going to be back to business by April. Then in April we thought, June at the latest, and then it just kept going and going and going. I don't think anybody foresaw how things were going to pan out. But after a while, I kind of, just to say this sounds weird, but I almost got used to not wrestling.
Yeah.
So, it was frustrating at first, but I understand, the way everything is going. And, MLW didn't want to, they wanted to make sure they were in a situation where they could provide, good content, but also they wanted to do it a safe way for the staff, for the wrestlers, for everyone involved. So I respect that. But it is a good time for me because, a couple weeks ago we were able to open our wrestling school back up in Arizona. So I've been getting my reps in, and then some of the indie promotions have started to run. So I've got to have a couple live matches back and kind of, get back to the swing of things. So it's not like I'm going to be, it's not like I'm going to be a fish out of water. I'm going to be ready to hit the ground running.
How was it for you getting back into action there after not being able to wrestle for a while? Were those first few bumps more hit a little harder than they normally would, or no?
I mean, like I said, I was lucky enough that, I helped teach at a school out here in Arizona, so I got to take my first bumps not in front of a crowd, and I got to get that wincing pain out on a personal level.
Yeah.
With no eyes. So yeah, it was a little bit like, okay, that's rough, but as far as actually getting back in the ring and doing matches again, it was actually a very good feeling because I don't care how cocky it comes off. It was a reminder that, damn, I'm good at what I do. Like I felt very comfortable in the ring. I felt very much, like I hadn't lost a step. It was a very good reminder that, for the last 10 years of honing my craft, I'm not going to lose it just from having a couple months off. Yeah,
and you are one of those guys that I felt so bad for with the timing, Hammerstone, because you were right there on the bubble, breaking out. I mean, you've never looked better. The wind is at your sails. The fans really seem to be resonating with you. But in regards to the physique, how hard is it to keep that physique when gyms are shut down and, you can't really do a whole lot of things? How are you managing to stay in shape like that?
Yeah, that was definitely a frustrating aspect of things because, like I said, not understanding the timeline of how events were going. The first initial reaction for me was just, what, I'm going to use this because I thought things were going to be shut down for a week. So I thought, I'm going to just take this week off. I'm going to sit at home. I'm going to let my body heal because I hadn't done that in years.
Yeah.
So I was prepared to just, sit at home, relax, and be lazy because I don't do that. It's always wrestling. It's always training. It's always traveling. So at first I just relaxed. And then once I kind of realized, this is going to last longer than I thought, it was a situation where I was scrounging up barbells and dumbbells from friends, family, and anyone who had it to spare. And I kind of set up a little bit of a workout station on my patio and just did the best I could.
Yeah. Did you get inventive anything? Like, did you get the big tire? Did you have to did you make your own weights in any way? Anything like that?
I mean, I had a lot of what I would call like the Franken dumbbells, where like they weren't necessarily, the weights weren't the right size to fit on the bar, but you had to like Jimmy rig it the right way. And yeah. I'd be weight and it'd fall apart 3 reps in, but I did what I had to do, and all in all, I'm glad, for the way things turned out, because it was, it was a mental test, it was a physical test, and it was kind of like one of those things where you got to see, like, okay, well, I still want it this bad, so let's see how, I saw a lot of people completely fall off the wagon and completely fall apart, fall their physiques, their social media. It's like, as per what you said, I was at a situation where I did feel like, man, like I'm at the hottest I've ever been in my career.
Yeah.
But there were some people who figured out how to capitalize, as far as the content we provided on social media, the interaction with fans and such. And then some wrestlers kind of just drifted into obscurity, and they let like whatever momentum they had fall to the wayside. So, as much as I haven't been wrestling in the last couple of months, I still feel like, I did a good job of maintaining a presence for my fans the best I could.
Yeah, and you set me up nicely there for that. Yeah, you've been very engaged. You've definitely kept your presence going. One thing I noticed while I was doing a little research for this interview was Brian Cage, the Swolverine. He praised you on Twitter. He put you over as the only other body guy with the same kind of athleticism as him. What does a compliment from Cage like that to you mean? What does that mean to you right now?
It's awesome, man. It's funny because, I was just on a show with Cage. We did a show in Texas a couple of weeks ago, and there was a younger guy there, and he came up to me and was talking to me and asking me some questions, and he's just like, hey, man, I've been wrestling for a couple of years, and I just really hope I get to work hard, and, I want to work with you someday. That'd be really awesome. And as he was saying that, Cage walked by. I was like, when I first got it, I was watching tapes of that guy. And, I kind of had the same, I looked up to him because I was, in awe of his build and what he could do in the ring. And then, a couple of years later, I did get to catch up, and we have got to have several good matches together. So anytime I get praise from Brian, he's the pinnacle of body guy. I don't think anyone's going to take that title from him, but I'm happy to have second place when it's next to him.
Yeah. No, he's two people, right? It's like if you put two human beings, maybe a horse human is what Brian Cage is. I'm not really sure what he is, Anyway.
He's definitely in a league of his own.
Yeah, for sure. Like he's an entire league. Well, on that note with Cage here, MLW, huge announcement here just last week, entering the Wednesday Night War here. Y'all are going to be airing about an hour before AEW and WWE. How do you feel about MLW going right into the fray here on Wednesday nights?
It's going to be very interesting to see how things pan out. I do feel honestly like we are a little bit of an alternative, just in the sense that, Court's kind of always had this attitude that he has a certain vision that he wants to display. And when people don't like it, he doesn't try to, like smooth out all the edges and make it a cookie cutter thing that people are going to like. He says, hey, it's, it has these edges, and if you don't like them, then our product's not for you. And like, that's the thing I love most about him and the company, is that we live in a time, where obviously there's, the times are changing. There's certain things like that you have to be cognizant of, as far as, things that flew 20 years ago don't fly today. And, I completely understand that. But at the same time, there are people who take that to the extreme. Yeah. There are people who try to overly criticize everything. And sometimes it almost feels like people want to just test and see if their complaint can get validated by having people, alter the path to suit what they're complaining about.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah.
And LW's not going to do that. And that's not to say we have some brash offensive program, and it's not like that in any way, but it does have a different feel to it. And I'm excited to kind of, like you said, join the fray, because I do feel like we have something a little bit different, and coming back, I think Court wants to capitalize that. And not only that, I think all the boys are very hungry to jump in and say, like, we're just as good as anyone else. We got just as good wrestlers. So I'm really excited to see how the dust settles when it's all said and done.
Yeah, and one thing I wanted to ask you about here is something that was noticed by a lot of fans here with AEW and WWE on Wednesday nights. When they were running on different nights, they seemed to do better viewership. Do you worry about MLW maybe getting lost in the mix on Wednesday nights? You kind of wish you'd go to another night? Or are you thinking this is the best move for you guys right now to put yourself on display right alongside those two units or those promotions right now?
Honestly, I don't necessarily see it as a positive or a negative. I think it is what it is because although that's we're airing, MLW's also done what we can to capitalize on many different streaming platforms. So, there's for whoever isn't watching on Wednesday night, they might be watching it on Saturday morning. They might be, so I think, all in all, the views are still going to get in. There's going to be people who find what time is convenient for them to watch it. And I think the people who want to see the program are going to see the program. And, I can speak for myself. There's almost no show that I've ever watched live. I find, where it pops up on whatever platform is convenient for me, because my life's crazy and very all over the place. So, I think at the end of the day, it's all going to balance out and we're going to get the viewers we're going to get. But it is going to be interesting to see how it plays out as far as on that particular night.
Yeah. No, 100%. And something else I wanted to ask you about, you brought up earlier how it's going to be a little bit different now this time around. What can you tell us about how MLW is going to be presented here for fans this time around when it comes back?
So, I think more than anything, over the couple months with, we've been doing the Pulp Fusion, there's been these promos, and there's just this kind of and I can say for doing some indie shows where we're all in the same locker room again, there's almost been kind of this unifying feeling amongst, the locker room where we've all kind of realized, we might all have, an individual chip on our shoulder, but now, it's not a Hammerstone has a chip on his shoulder, Jordan Oliver has a chip on his shoulder, Myron Reed has a chip, Richard Holiday. It's okay, the MLW locker room as a whole, we have a chip on our shoulder. So it's not, as much as we all want to stand out as individuals, I think a lot of us have really started to understand that we want to take the company to the next level. And I think that's going to show through in what we do coming forward.
Outside of yourself, who do you see as the pillars of MLW right now? Who do you think are the wrestlers that fans should be keeping an eye out most that they're going to see a lot more of come the restart?
Obviously, Fatu and Contra Unit have been dominant, and there's a reason for that. Between, myself and Richard Holiday, I'm kind of getting my time in the sun, but it's people don't realize that I've been doing this, 10 years. Holiday's only been doing about 4.
Right.
That guy is just bound to explode because he's getting so much better, so much quicker. And then from the young guys, we have Injustice. Those guys are on fire. But what's so exciting to me is you asked me who do I think is going to be, the pillars moving forward. And I can't really answer that question because right now we are in a little bit of a state of flux. Where during this restart stage, we're probably going to have, 4 or 5 completely fresh faces coming in, and they're all going to have that there's going to be that kind of feeling of, okay, which one of you guys loves it the most? Which one of you guys is going to climb the ladder, push each other down, get to the top? Because that's very much the feel with MLW as far as the locker room goes. It's not I'm not going to lie and say, Court's, given $1 million to sign some ex-WWE champion. That's not what we're doing. What he's doing is he's finding these guys who have potential out the ass, and he's giving them the opportunity to grab the brass ring. And whoever goes for it gets it. It's not like he signs guys with the idea of, pushing them and making them the franchise player. It's whoever goes and delivers on matches, delivers on promos, represents the company. Those are going to be the guys who get the opportunity. So I'm really interested, as someone who wants to see the company grow, I'm really interested to see what the new batch of guys with the new fresh faces bring to the table.
I thought it was interesting you put over you and Holiday and you talk about fresh faces here. I talked to Gino Medina not long ago, who I believe is in the Dynasty right now. And, what an interesting character that guy is, with his upbringing in the business. He wrestled a mini when he was like 6 years old. Like, how much chemistry have you been able to build with Gino, and what do you think fans can expect from him?
So, well, here's the thing with Gino. We just when the chemistry was starting to get rolling, we went on, the break, and he's kind of been MIA as far as the Dynasty goes.
Yeah.
I think Gino's wanting to blaze his own path, coming forward. So, the kid's got tons of talent, cool look, tons of talent in ring, but I don't know. I can't say if he's going to be involved with the Dynasty moving forward. We really don't know. That's something that's still up in the air. So,
whoa, okay,
it's going to be to see.
Okay, and so with you and Holiday, then, if it's not Gino, are you guys set as the two of you, or do you always want to be able to be bringing in a third, mentoring somebody? Is there somebody else maybe you could see as a fit for the Dynasty?
I mean, at this point, I just don't know. I feel like the Dynasty in its original, original formation was just so perfect. We had this thing that nobody understood why it was going to work, how it was going to work, but it just turned into what it turned into. Ended up being probably the most fun, I've ever had wrestling, between the promos, the segments, the matches, and then just the backstage. And as it changed up, I don't think we ever clicked quite the same as that original group. And who's to say if we ever will, with more members, with less members. But I know, Holiday and I still have that, dynastic relationship between us. So I can't say for sure.
Okay.
Moving forward, he's the Caribbean champion. He's got that to worry about. I'm the open weight champion. I've got that to worry about. And not only that, but I still think there's a couple rungs up the ladder that I want to move. So it's not at the forefront of my priorities to enlist new members in the Dynasty, but sure. I'll also say it's not out of the question.
Do you still keep in touch with MJF?
I do. He's one of those guys who we'll keep in touch here and there. I understand that he's kind of at the top of his world right now.
Sure.
So, I don't try to bug him down every day. And I understand. I also am one of those people who I know that there's people who always want something from you, right?
Sure.
So every time he does something good, I bet there's guys coming out of the woodworks to, send him oh, hey, brother, I'm so proud of you. So I think he knows that I don't have to do that every time, but he knows, we built a real friendship. And I'll always be there for him. I think he'll always be there for me. And we do keep in touch. I'm really, really proud of him.
Okay.
I think everyone knew he was going to do exactly what he's doing. And he's probably going to do a whole lot more. So,
all right.
So yeah,
I'll throw something completely speculative and wild out there and see what you say. You guys are MLW moving into the Wednesday Night War fray. MJF on Wednesday night teased the idea that he could be joining a stable, bringing a stable to MLW or to AEW. Do you want to comment on the possibility? Because I know we've seen Pillman over in AEW as of late. Is there any chance that we see the original Dynasty flanking MJF on AEW, maybe also on MLW as well?
So I guess maybe the right answer to this is to try to keep it mysterious, just so people are curious.
Okay.
But the honest truth is that as per things moving forward, we're in more of a position where I think those friendly co-uses of talent aren't going to happen as much.
Sure.
Just because, there were some situations, where, MJF, was on the last couple months of his MLW tenure before he was switching over. But, I'm not in a position where I want to go play on the other show just to be there for a second. I want to go somewhere, I want to be where I'm going to be, where I'm going to be featured, where I'm going to be in position to be myself, to do myself. I don't want to have to play by a whole new set of rules. So I don't think that crossover is in the cards. I think if you want to see the Dynasty, your best bet is tuning into MLW.
Well, there you go. All right, I'll close it up here saying you are the MLW National Openweight Champion. You are the only National Openweight Champion ever. Am I right about that?
That's correct.
Now, you are coming you've crossed the 1-year mark. Now we're looking at year 2. Is that your goal? 2 years with the belt? What are your thoughts here? How do you plan on defending this belt once MLW gets going again here?
So when I won that belt, it was very much a situation where, like you said, I was the first person to hold it. I won it in a tournament, and it was definitely a situation where I realized that I'm going to set the tone for it. I'm going to be the benchmark for what that championship means, for what it stands for.
Sure.
And over time, it really started to be kind of like the championship where they were just, because it's the openweight championship, I could face anybody of any size but it also started being the championship where they were bringing in top stars from other companies, from other countries, from all over the world. And there wouldn't necessarily be a big build storyline wise for the match, but it was always the championship where, okay, here's going to just be a knockout teardown match, where they're going to go all out and deliver some good wrestling. And I think that's kind of been how it's solidified. It's the championship where people know, like, they're going to get the match of the night when they see it. So I'm super proud of what I've done with it so far. But that being said, as far as, year 2, there's only so much more I could do with that championship. It's like I've wrestled guys from Japan, from Mexico, all over America. It's like, at this point, I think, the next step is I've shown that belt as a main event championship as much as anything else on the show. So why not, put it side by side with the other championship and go for the world title?
All right. Well, there it is. That's a hot out. Hammerstone, thank you very much for taking some more time to chat with me here for the site. Is there anything that you want to plug, promote, put over here before we wrap up the interview today?
Just for anyone who's not following the social media, check me out on Twitter and Instagram at Alex Hammerstone, Facebook Alexander Hammerstone, and then don't forget to follow Major League Wrestling on all the socials as well, because we got obviously the restarts in the works, but I think we're going to have a couple more surprises in the next couple months, and everyone's going to want to be savvy to them as they're happening.